Okay, welcome back to the Snap. Michael Heaver here alongside my co-host, of course, Patrick O'Flynn. Now, we're going to talk today about the launch of GB News, which, Patrick, I think it's fair to say has severely rattled the media establishment in the UK and not before time.
Yeah, I think it's had an absolutely brilliant week. It's not to say that there aren't a lot of technical glitches and things for people to criticize them for if they're looking to criticize. But I think on those two fronts of the kind of Remainer media establishment, going for them and being full of snark, and the cancel culture on behalf of the advertisers, both of those things, I think, have endeared GB News to the hearts of those of us who can see it breaking this stranglehold of the metropolitan elite. And on top of that, it's covered some stories really well from neglected viewpoints, which is living up to its mission on content. I'm quite sure the glitches will get ironed out. They already are being. And it's now, I think it's right to say, it's Britain's most watched TV news channel, ahead of Sky and BBC Rolling News. So that's a fantastic first week for them.
Yeah, and by the way, guys, do let us know in the comments below what you've made of GB News. Is it what you expected or not? How are you finding it? Do let us know. Yeah, I mean, just to give context to the launch night, of course, where GB News actually beat the BBC News channel, beat Sky News. I think it was 164,000 average across 7 till 11 p.m. And I think their first hour on air, Patrick, they had an audience of 262,000, reaching a peak of 336,000 a few minutes in. So look, it shows you the potential size of the audience. Of course, I mean, I haven't actually watched it on TV yet. I just stream everything now, Patrick, whether it's through my phone, whether it's through my laptop or whatever. I stream a lot of stuff now, as I know probably a lot of people that are watching the Snap here on YouTube do as well. So obviously that's changed things significantly. But look, I think it's an encouraging start. And I think the one example that I would lay out to people is think about it this way. In the first 24 hours of GB News being live, I saw more coverage of the story of illegal migrant boat crossings than I had on the BBC for the last month.
Absolutely. So they covered the cross-channel boats very thoroughly and from a wide range of viewpoints. They covered the foreign aid budget and the reductions to that from quite a lot from the point of view of taxpayers and not just the NGO kind of money-eating machine. That was really positive. And then we had that landmark Andrew Neil interview with Rishi Sunak, in which he actually grilled him properly over the government's green agenda and the costs of getting to net zero carbon emissions by 2050. And he particularly raised this issue of, is the government really going to rip out gas boilers, working gas boilers from people's homes and force them to replace them at least £10,000 a pop? And Rishi Sunak didn't really have the answers to that. And that opened a completely new area of debate on this massively important policy area. And that's before you even get to the turning the tables on the cancel culture campaigners. So these are really big impacts already on the media landscape.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think personally it's incredibly important that GB News not only survives, but thrives. You only have to look at the, as you mentioned, this sort of cancel campaign of these saddos who, don't forget, were already trying to boycott GB News before it even broadcast anything. So the idea that they're even against what GB News has actually put out is nonsense. There were some people sad enough to be trying to boycott a channel that hadn't even launched yet. But we've, of course, seen an advertising boycott. We've seen Ofcom hit with, I think, close to 400 complaints on the launch night. So look, a lot of people severely rattled, but that, I think, shows you, Patrick, why GB News is important, because having choice there for the British public, who increasingly look at a woke, left-wing, middle-class, London-centric BBC and simply don't recognise the worldview that the BBC now seems to be increasingly committed to in terms of its worldview on everything from Brexit to immigration, as we know. And, you know, having that alternative, I think, is very, very important. I also think, as I said, there's a bigger picture here, which is that you cannot let intolerant people who want to shut down choice and shut down free speech succeed.
That's bang on. And I'll tell you, I'm so optimistic about this now, because I think this is the first time where you've had leading brands buckle, as they normally do, to these woke social media warriors and immediately assume they speak for many more people than they do, appearing at least to pledge to boycott GB News, and then doing a U-turn within 24 or 48 hours. Now, that could only have come from a really ferocious backlash from many of their customers. And it's always been said that the left are very good at doing this boycott stuff because they're more intolerant and they're more politically motivated in everything they do in their lives, whereas right of centre people are kind of easier with pluralism. But, you know, the predominantly, I suppose, right of centre audience for GB News has bitten back this time. It's been a really big set piece battle, an early power struggle, and our side has won it.
Yeah, and what I think's important to note here is that as I said, these people who are seeking to shut down choice, shut down free speech, shut down GB News effectively, you know, they're very dangerous people, because think of it this way: if some, let's say, Guardian journalists had decided, got some money together, got some investors, and decided they were going to set up a new, you know, left-wing Corbynista TV broadcaster, do we really think that conservative-minded people would be spending all their time on Twitter organising a boycott of anyone that advertised on that channel? I don't think you would be seeing that. I think this is a specific group of people who, whether it's TV, university campuses, or anything else, spend their time trying to shut down debate, not interested in arguments, not interested in a fair debate. They just want to try and cancel and shut down the debate. And as I said, for me, this goes beyond GB News. The bigger picture is these people cannot be allowed to win. We need to have an alternative like GB News. And ultimately, I think as well, Patrick, just thinking ahead now, you know, if you see audiences on GB News continue to grow, once again, it underlines why the BBC licence fee is such an unsustainable concept in the modern age of increasing choice.
I think, and I have thought for a while, that that's right. The days of the licence fee must be numbered. There's already a case, as you know, I've said, to give a share of it to GB News for doing the public service of promoting viewpoint diversity. I think this battle we've seen in the last week is so important. The Liberal left have achieved a temporary monopoly over the big broadcast news output, over the BBC, Channel 4, Sky, and ITV News as well. They had effectively a total monopoly, and the left probably knows that most of its ideas aren't naturally commanding a majority of British public opinion. So the role of woke broadcasting as a sort of push to people to tell them this is what you must think was very important. Now, GB News has broken that. They've tried to belittle it, ridicule it, hound it off air, deprive it of sources of revenue. And so far, touch wood, it's not working. And I think it's going to roll on to greater and greater success. And it's going to start having an impact on those other terrestrial broadcasters who are going to have to pull their coverage back somewhat towards a genuine centre ground.
Yeah, as I said, Patrick, I mean, look, I think I'd be interested to know what viewers of the Snap make of GB News. But I have to say, I was watching it last night and it was, you know, it was a breath of fresh air. And as we say, yes, there's been production issues and things like that, but these are all teething problems at the end of the day. It's a mammoth task putting out that amount of original programming, brand new studio, etc. So look, it will take a bit of time, but I've got to say, you know, watching GB News, you know, the lines that they're taking, the quality of the debate, the fact that everything isn't, you know, squashed together as little gotcha moments, you know, I think they're off to a very good start. From what you've seen, Patrick, are you enjoying it?
Yeah, me too. And I thought Andrew Neil's coverage on Thursday night of the COVID data was very refreshing. It was a much more balanced and, in fact, upbeat reading of the data without being delusional in any way whatsoever. I thought presented a balanced picture of why we are emerging from COVID in pretty good shape and in pretty short order. And what a contrast that made to the other channels constantly whipping up hysterical fears, as the preferred line to take. So that on just a responsible, calm coverage of the most important issue of the moment was another feather in their cap.
Absolutely. Well, look, let's hope GBN goes from strength to strength. As I said, again, keen to hear from you guys in the comments below what you make of it. But do support the Snap here on YouTube by making sure you hit subscribe and the bell. And me and Patrick will be back soon. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, everyone.